Hello, it's Tom here with a look at PS4 Pro's new boost mode. A quick summary, this boost mode lets any game tap into PS4 Pro's resources to achieve higher frame rates. No patches needed provided you're on the 4.5 beta firmware. Games released before PS4 Pro's arrival get a performance bump with this toggle checked. Now of course, improvements do vary by the game, but out of all the ones we've tested, it's racing sims that show by far the biggest leap forward. For fans of Project Cars, Assetto Corsa and Formula 1 2016, this is great news. All three target 60 FPS on a regular PS4, but when really pushed, none can truly hold that number. To make matters worse, these games never received a Pro patch to bridge that gap to 60 FPS, but with the boost mode, all of that changes. Let's start with Project Cars, the one with some of the more sizable frame rate drops when put under stress. To be clear, both sides of this screen show a PS4 Pro in action. It's just on the left side we have the boost mode enabled, and on the right it's the standard base mode we've been using on Pro until now, simulating a regular PS4. For a real stress test, I've gone for the taxing Le Mans 24-hour circuit with 44 AI cars, heavy rain and full physics simulation to hammer the GPU and CPU of the machine. And well, using a matching replay, it's a night and day difference. So let's talk stats. Even at the starting grid with all 44 cars on show, you get performance gains of at least 35%, and incredibly up to 38% once they all splinter off into smaller packs. To put that into perspective in terms of averages, a full race in the base mode will average at 37 frames per second, but on boost mode that increases to 51 FPS on average, a 14 FPS average upgrade overall. That is massive and strongly suggests it's not just the GPU side of the machine that's being pushed to its fullest here. With so many cars on screen and physics in play, the PS4 Pro's CPU clocks are seemingly also at work. That combination of CPU and GPU boost would explain how an increase to 38% is possible, easily the highest margin we've seen so far with this mode enabled. Now of course, this isn't hitting the 60 FPS mark. Obviously it's meant as a pure stress test, and screen tear is still rampant on both sides. With Project Cars, this is really the worst case scenario though, and it's worth mentioning you won't be playing the game like this most of the time. For career mode races with 16 cars and clear skies, boost mode will make a world of difference to actually hitting 60 FPS. In practical terms, you're getting enough performance overhead to keep a rock solid lock in less demanding races. Here's an example as we go under the bridge on the Azure circuit, and a smooth 60 FPS as long as this lasts, where PS4 Pro's base mode is still at 50 FPS. And as a bonus of course, image quality is improved by the fact there's no screen tearing as well. For Project Cars, boost mode is a proven success, making a world of difference to not just how it looks, but also how it plays. Alright, next up let's move on to Assetto Corsa. This snuck in just before the PS4 Pro came out and to this day hasn't benefited from a Pro patch. The key difference between this and Project Cars is the game runs with VSync enabled, meaning no screen tearing, but you do obviously get drops with the maximum 16 cars. Again, we're sticking to replays in the chase cam view to push the engine. We're on PS4 Pro in base mode, that puts you at a low of 47 FPS for this Barcelona circuit. Sadly, it's rare to hit a full 60 FPS with all cars on screen. The good news is, with boost mode enabled, Assetto Corsa is now a true locked 60 FPS experience. From all the tracks I've tested, there isn't a single frame rate drop to mention, meaning in the best case it's a 27% boost over the base mode, which is excellent. That's working with 47 FPS being the lowest point. To put that into a broader perspective though, the average frame rate on PS4 Pro in its regular base mode is 52 FPS across the Barcelona race, but that cranks up to a complete unwavering 60 FPS in boost mode. This is exactly how we wanted Assetto Corsa to run on console when it launched, and finally it's possible. Last up, let's check out Formula 1 2016. This is another racing sim that sacrifices image quality with copious levels of screen tearing on PS4 when pushed in order to squeeze frame times down to hit 60 FPS. And for the most part it works. On the Monaco stage with 22 cars on screen, it already ran pretty well on the base mode, with a few drops to 55 FPS and tearing in spots. This is exchanged for something more consistent on the PS4 Pro's boost mode, an almost constant 60 lock across the race. Really, the improvement on Monaco in dry weather isn't as vast as the other two games. Performance was already decent, but the boost mode's more solid frame rate is a welcome refinement. On the other hand, the Singapore circuit with heavy rain and 22 cars pushes things a little further. That extra engine strain helps widen the divide, and really shows what we're getting with boost mode in Formula 1. And the answer is this: not as much as the other two games, but it's still impressive. Across the whole circuit, the average numbers here put the base mode at 55 FPS, whereas you get 59 on the boost. At best, it can be a 13 frames per second advantage, with lots of alpha effects and cars in view, which gives us a gain of 27%. But that's really only one spot, and for the most part it rests at around 9% in improvement. Either way, this new mode smooths off a lot of edges in performance here and runs with far less screen tear. Overall, this is exactly what we wanted from PS4 Pro at the start. We wanted full utilization of the hardware across every game regardless of patch. Titles with dedicated Pro updates will be better optimized of course, and can benefit from visual upgrades in textures, effects and resolution, which isn't what we're getting here. This is much more basic, but it's still nice to see PS4 Pro's power isn't entirely locked out for older games. And the uptick in frame rates in racing sims especially is a game changer. I've got to say it makes Project Cars and Assetto Corsa much more playable, and it definitely adds to the value of owning a PS4 Pro at this point. Anyway, that'll do for now, but I'll be sure to cover the boost mode with more games in the coming days. If you have any in particular you want to see, just drop me a line in the comments and I'll see what I can do. As ever, like and subscribe if you found this useful, and if you're interested, there's a high quality version of this video at our website at digitalfoundry.net. But until next time, thanks for watching.